Let's talk for a few minutes about the subject of executor compensation. Getting compensated for your service as an executor is likely an option if you'd like to be paid for your service. In some cases, executor compensation is spelled out in the will. However, in most cases, it's not. If you think this is something that might be of interest to you, talk to the probate judge about it when you appear in court. Here are 5 things that you may want to consider in deciding whether or not you are interested. First, how much is an executor typically paid? In most states where executor compensation is not spelled out specifically in the will, you're entitled to be paid a reasonable amount. That's typically deemed to be about 4% of the estate. That said, you should ask the judge in your state is the percentage, the flat fee, or the hourly rate can be different from state to state. Number 2, what are the ramifications of being paid? You may personally feel better or worse about your service if you're being compensated. You may want to serve as an act of love, an act of service to the will writer or the beneficiaries. That said, if your service as an executor will take you away from your work, if the estate is incredibly complex, or if the beneficiaries are going to be challenging, you may feel like you're not being fair to yourself if you're not being compensated. You should know that executor compensation is paid out of the estate assets. So, by accepting compensation, you may be accused of taking money out of the estate, even though it is perfectly reasonable and acceptable for you to do so. The third consideration is how much you'll personally sacrifice in the role. Serving as an executor is a difficult job. It takes both physical and mental energy. The more complex the estate, the more time it's going to take to complete it. And as mentioned, you may have to deal with complex family dynamics or the unhappiness of some beneficiaries based on what's the will or judgment calls you'll need to make along the way. You may also want to think about travel time, as if you don't live in the same city as the deceased, it will typically take several trips to get your estate in order. Number 4, are you financially able to serve without a fee? If you're named as an executor in the will writer wanted you to serve. If you can do that without accepting a fee, great. However, if it's going to take you away from your work and cut into your personal paycheck, you may need to accept compensation to be able to take the role. You were named by the will writer because they wanted you to serve in the role. Number 5, taxes. In most cases, money you inherit as a beneficiary is not subject to taxation. However, money earned in your role as an executor is taxable income. Understand the potential tax implications of accepting executor compensation before making your decision. The after-tax compensation is probably the number you'll want to focus on. You may also want to know if there's extra work involved if you accept compensation. The role is basically the same whether you're compensated or not. However, if you're going to be paid by the hour, you'll want to use the hours tracking log you can find on executor.org. That said, we'd recommend you keep complete and accurate records regardless of whether or not you're being compensated for the role. So, what will you do? Accepting or declining executor compensation is a personal decision. The role is hard, so regardless of what you decide, you'll likely face numerous challenges along the way. Stay positive, be persistent, and you'll get through the 100+ steps in the role. Thank you for letting us at executor.org assist you in the process.